Today, I'm very excited to have this guest on my show because the area that she covers is of great interest. But let me tell you a little bit about her. She enjoyed a long and a successful career in senior sales position within media and publications industry. However, something happened which made her shift gears and pursue her passion for photography. Today, she runs her own business using the powerful art of photography to help people feel confident in their own skin. I'm delighted to welcome her to Reset Diaries. And we have a lot to unpack in this session, including topics of confidence projection, body language, and some common mistakes people make on LinkedIn. Welcome, Rebecca.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm really excited to be.
So, to begin with, Rebecca, you had this initial career in sales publication. What specific moment triggered this shift to photography?
Well, the moment that shifted me from being an employee to wanting to run my own business was arriving at my son's nursery in England in the cold, the dark, and the rain 10 minutes after it closed, with my poor little boy stood holding the hand of the childcare worker, who clearly also wanted to be gone like 10 minutes ago because the trains were late again. And for me, it was just like, I just don't want this anymore. Like, I don't want my son to be suffering. I want to be there on time. I want to be there for more of it. And I thought there must be a way that I can have a successful career, but make the choices that are right for me.
Right. That's great. So, did you have that entrepreneurial knack in you always?
Well, like sales in itself is quite entrepreneurial.
Yeah.
I often had to create products, create events, create sponsorships, create opportunities.
Right.
So my career did lend itself to being creative. But interestingly, as I didn't have any business experience, I went down the kind of a halfway house, I suppose, of buying a franchise. My first photography business, which was newborn and family photography, was actually a franchise. So a business in a box, as it were. So it
Right.
came with a manual of how to do things. The branding was done, the website was done, there was training, there was colleagues. But
Yeah.
ultimately, I chose how much I worked, when I worked, how I worked. So it was a
Right.
really good way to make that transition, like a softer landing into the world of running your own business.
Right. Things are a little bit set, so you don't have to build things from the scratch. But anyway, so how was your experience with the baby photography and that first business of yours? What were the challenges? What were the learnings from that business?
Yeah, there was a lot of learnings and a lot of challenges. But it was good, and I don't regret it, despite it probably not being the most financially successful business I will ever run. Because I learned a lot.
Mm.
And actually, it showed that I needed to be able to call more of the shots in my business, because I could see opportunities and
Mm.
pricing models needed to change for me to be competitive in my area. And I couldn't do that. I couldn't respond to the
Mm.
market how I felt would be right, because there was this rigidity around it. But I got to work with loads of lovely families. I got to hone my photography skills, my customer service skills. So tricky customers, miserable dads, stressed mums, naughty kids, So it was a lot of fun. I mean, it was a real honor and privilege to do that. And I still do offer some newborn and family along for my clients. I don't really advertise it wider.
Go back a little bit, which I didn't ask you was why photography, and did you train yourself in photography?
So I've always been interested in photography. I think it came my great uncle was a photographer, and my mum always had albums from like her childhood and different weddings over the years and holidays and pictures of her and my dad, and it's just fascinating. It's like a time capsule, right? It takes you back to a time. So I was always fascinated with the power of photography. I moved to Australia when I was 28, and obviously the landscape there and the experiences we were having were definitely worth documenting. And I bought myself a digital SLR, because I was like, right, these little cameras don't cut it anymore. And then for my birthday, my husband bought me a photography course, and I really got on with a tutor. and ended up doing, a lighting course, portrait, studio, and just really understanding how to master the camera. Um, and that continued for another, few years where I took photos at family events and things like that. But it was when I was sat there going, what can I do for business? I thought, you've got to do something that you love. And I was like, what do I love? Well, I've got 2 young kids. So I'm in that world, right? I'm going to the play groups, I'm at the nurseries, and I love photography. So it seemed to be a good fit to go in there. The two things kind of like aligned where I was in my life and something that I really loved and was passionate about.
So it's like it just merged together and fell in the place for you.
Yeah.
So, Rebecca, continuing your journey from baby photography to what you're doing now, if you can explain for our audiences a little bit, how did that switch happen? Or first of all, what are you doing now exactly?
Yeah, so that was another kind of a very organic transition actually. Um I'm a natural extrovert. I get my energy from other people, and I was suddenly like, right, I'm on my own now. And I've
Mm,
been in sales team, I've led sales teams, so I've always had loads of people around me. It was always, excuse me, very high energy. Um, so I put a call out on a few local Facebook groups to say, look, I've recently set up a baby photography group. I'm looking to find other women in business who are serving a similar community. So I ended up setting up a networking group, really, really simple. And I just attracted loads of really cool, dedicated women. And what I found was that regardless of the sector that these women were in, they were all facing the same problem, right? How do they find clients? How do
mm,
they grow their business? How do they get chosen? And when I looked online and their website or their literature or their social media, it was poor. And I was like, I wouldn't choose you
mm,
based on this, but I've met you, I've listened to you, and you are amazing, but nobody knows how amazing you are. So I was like,
mm,
what can I do to help these women? So I came up with this day in the life package, which I massively underpriced, but it was a great place to start. And the idea that I had was that I just followed these women around their day, and so that they could show their potential clients who, not just what they did, but who they are, what their values are, so people could connect with them. So I did that for a little bit, and then I came across a very fabulous lady, and she was running a course called the Business of Brand Photography. It was just a course that showed you how you could run a successful brand photography business. So how you can structure it, the processes that you can have in place to really best deliver for your clients. And I did her course, and I kind of professionalized my business and formalized it, and put packages together that worked better
mhm.
for clients. And yes, that's what I've been doing now for the last however many 5 years, 5.5 years.
So, if you can describe what kind of packages do you have? Is it for the entrepreneurs or it's also for like LinkedIn professional headshots?
Yeah, I've kind of got two groups, I suppose. I've got the entrepreneurs. So those are predominantly, but not exclusively, female founders. So they will, a lot of my clients are coaches, whether
Mm,
that's wellness coaches or executive
mm,
coaches, mindset speakers,
mhm,
um, wellness professionals, um, are probably kind of my main groups that I serve on that side. And then I also have kind of professionals, so like those working corporates who are looking either purely for some headshots for their
mhm.
LinkedIn, or if they're on panels and
Right.
stage. But sometimes some of those professionals want more than just headshots because they're trying to build their personal brand within their industry. They might be looking for a promotion. They might be looking to get invitations to speakers, to be on speaker panels, or to be invited to comment in articles, or just to be seen as a thought leader within sustainability or diversity or AI. And they want images that will match that additional content that they're putting out.
Okay, nice. So when somebody is onboarding you, what's your process typically? How do you work with your clients? I just want to touch down upon your photography process so
Yep.
that just for the benefit of audience that they should know it's not just, point and shoot, but it's also a lot of storytelling. So I want to hear it from you.
Yeah, no, exactly that. Like I always say, like I'm more than a photographer. And when
Mm,
it comes to personal branding, it's more than pretty pictures.
right.
So you shouldn't be getting a family photographer to do your branding or a wedding photographer to do your branding. The reason being is, will you end up with nice photos of yourself? Absolutely, because those photographers are expert at taking good photos. But within personal branding, yes, you will look good, and yes, you will be proud of those images, and yes, you'll have more confidence in putting yourself out there. But ultimately, they are marketing images, and each one of those images should be telling a story to your client, and that needs to be an intentional story. What do you want them to feel when they come in contact with this photograph? What do you want them to know about you when they come in contact with this photograph? And so when clients sign up for a photography shoot, the first thing I do is send them a questionnaire. It's got about 30 questions, and it dives into some of the things you mentioned. What is their vision? What is their mission? What are their goals? What is their story? Like, where did they come from, right? Because that people can connect with that. So very much with what you're doing with this, your reset diaries, it's people go, I can resonate with that. Oh, she's going to get that I'm pivoting from corporate to my own business because she's done it, right? So that needs to be an important part of my story, right? So we dive into their backstory, but also like their personal things. What makes them tick? Are they an early riser? Do they like nature? Are they sports freaks? Are they animal lovers, right? Because again, this is things that people go, oh, well, that'd be nice. We can coach and we can spend the first 10 minutes talking about our dogs. Because people, like that human connection.
Yeah.
And then it goes into, what does the client do? Like, what is their actual job? Or what's their career? What do they do, right? So what is that? Who do they help? And more importantly, what is the transition that they take their clients on? So their clients meet them here. Where do they end up? And that's what's really important to show. How can we show that journey, right? Because that's what people buy, right? They're like, I want to, this in the middle, people don't really care about so much, right? Because all PTs, if they're successful, will get you from here to here. All coaches will get you from here to here. Or personal branding photographers will get you from here to here, right? I've created a personal branding team of freelancers, because as much as I love personal brand photography, it's only one part of the story. Like it needs to align with your written content. It needs to align with your colors and your branding, right? There's no point having these crazy, vibrant, out there photos, and then all your other branding is very neutral and plain. And so you've got to it's got to align, all the way through. So if I get to work with a copywriter or a designer during the process, then that's amazing, because all aspects of that marketing are working together.
Yeah, then it's a coherent story across all the touch points.
That's it. Yeah. That's the sweet point. So when I get to do that, that's really good. That's really, really good. And so yes, then once I've got all that information, we then plan the shoot. So what scenes do we want to take? So, with the speaker, it could be them on stage preparing, writing their content, or podcasters, they're doing podcasts, you get them with the mic and everything. You're buying the person, right? The only, obviously you get better coaches, better photographers, whatever, but ultimately what you're buying is the person and that journey that you're going to go on with them. Like, who do you want to go on that journey with?
Right. Yeah. And I mean, that's human connection.
What we have to show, right?
Yeah. Right. Yeah, that's important. But speaking of values, since you mentioned that, personal branding, I was also reading, it's a very intentional process. There are certain values that you want to project. So from your experience, what values you typically see people want to portray? Like, if there are 3-4 values you can think of.
Yes. So honesty comes out a lot. Like approachableness, so along that, like approachable, friendly, open, those values. Expert is another. People want to come across as expert. They want to showcase, because a lot of entrepreneurs, they've worked really hard and invested a lot of money to get to where they've got. So they want to show that they are expert. And it depends on different things, but like open-hearted is another that comes out quite a lot. So I'd say those are some of the ones that pop up the most.
Yeah, I think if somebody is willingly, intentionally putting themselves out there, I'm sure they want to be projected as approachable and open to receive communication. But I have one interesting question to ask you. Like, for this particular thing, you also do these professional shoots for men and women. Have you encountered any specific differences in terms of their approach and confidence and just like the whole comfort with their looks between men and women?
I wish I could sit here and say no. But it's yeah, it's like light and day. Look, I'm not saying men don't have hang-ups, and they certainly are as invested in looking the part and looking professional, and how they, prepare their clothes and their skin and their hair for the day, is equally as invested,
Mm.
as women, right? They care about that image. But actually during the shoot, much less self-conscious,
Mm.
much less negative talk, much
Mhm.
less, can you not get this chin, that thing, or which is my best eye, does my hair look? And it's actually, yeah, it's quite stark. It's very, shoots with men are very simple, I suppose, in that way. But to me it shows like how important my work is, because women need to be at the top of all professions, right? And so
Mhm.
I really want to help women in business be successful too. And one of the best ways of being successful is being visible in your market, right? People have to know you exist to be able to do business with you. And clients get so energized when they've got these photographs, they're
Right.
suddenly boosting their visibility, they're putting it out more content, they're doing it with more confidence.
Hmm.
And I think that's really powerful.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I can completely resonate. In a way, it does make you feel uh, confident and rewires your brain.
And
Break the flow of the conversation. I will read out some quick questions and I need your quick views on these. What is your view on AI headshots that people are using all over the LinkedIn now?
Well, I don't know if you have run your head through a LinkedIn, but I did, and I did some brilliant content. So my hair was tied back, much like it is today. So it made me a man, put me in
Okay.
some, put me into some very interesting 1980s power shoots, and gave me multiple fingers and hands. So
Okay.
at this point in time, it'll be a massive thumbs down.
Okay. Okay. And how often do you think people should update their LinkedIn profile photo, or what are the indicators that it's time for new one?
Every 1 to 2 years as a minimum,
Okay.
or if you have a major looks change. If you
Okay.
suddenly get glasses, you dye your hair, you cut your hair, you lose a lot of weight,
Mm-hmm.
and you no longer look like your photo,
Right.
then you should update it.
Yeah. I've seen some people who have 10-year-old pictures on their LinkedIn.
Yeah.
All right. Uh, Now, why should someone consider getting their LinkedIn photographed by a professional photographer instead of going the DIY approach? Which, again, I know a lot of people do that as well.
Yes. So look, iPhones and smartphones these days are great and can take a good quality photograph. So if you know how to use light and how to use angles, and you can dress up and get a good photo, and that works for you, or works for your budget, you know, do it, but do it properly with your iPhone, is what I'm going to say.
Mhm.
Find good light, dress up, put your makeup on or brush your hair, and
Right.
ask somebody, to take it for you, and try, a few different angles, right? So that would be, if you can't afford it, which not everyone can at whatever time, do that. But ultimately, LinkedIn is your professional platform, right?
Mhm.
Senior leaders within your business might well be looking at your LinkedIn.
Mm, mm.
Recruiters will be looking at your LinkedIn, and other companies will be looking at your LinkedIn. People who want to hire you to speak at events will be looking at your LinkedIn, right? And how do you want to present yourself to them? If you wouldn't walk into an office or a meeting looking like your LinkedIn photo, then change it,
Yeah.
right? If you would turn up looking presented, polished, then that is what your LinkedIn, right? It's like an online network. People
Right.
are seeing you for the first time. They will look at that photo and they will make a judgment.
Right.
So, and the same, if you're running your own business, if you're asking people to invest in you, it's really important that you show that you have invested in you.
Right. Yeah. Again, it's like this, you speak the same story, whether you meet somebody online or you meet them offline. You should look the part and dress the part and look the same. Okay.
People are judgy, right? They're on there judging you. Does this person look like the person we want on stage? Does
Yeah.
this person look like they show up with professionalism? Does this person look like they care what I think when I come to their page? And
Have
that
you
come,
seen some of the LinkedIn pictures which irked you that, oh my God, like, how can they put this here?
Yep. I know.
All right. So now let's move on to body language, my favorite subject. Now, it's a very nuanced and a very powerful tool in photography, and you would know it more than me. So, can you share three body language tips for people who want to project that confidence and likability or approachability, as they say?
Um, Look, it really varies on professions,
Mm-hmm.
right? It really varies on professions and what you're trying to convey. Okay. If you work in the wellness industry, then you don't want to have a big power pose
Mm-hmm.
photo, okay? Because what you want to come across is soft and nurturing. So for
Mm-hmm.
people like that, I always think to leaning on something's good, leaning in, so whether you're on a chair or on a rail or something, and you're leaning in, right? So when we lean in, we're saying, look, I'm here.
Mm-hmm.
Connect with me. I can help you, right? If you're, say, an executive coach,
Mm-hmm.
and you're looking to attract um, C-suite professionals, right? You need to look like them. Right?
Mm-hmm.
You've got to match them. So
Mm-hmm.
for people like that, you want to be probably wearing a jacket or like smart business attire. Again, you want to be staring down the barrel of the lens, really connecting and saying, I'm here, I can help you. So strong in your body. You want to like hold some tension in your body to show that you're
Mm-hmm.
there, you're strong, and that you mean business. Like bold colors can really work well, particularly for women. Um, in that space. Um, People have, so for like, I quite like when people have their hands on their face, like
Yeah.
way, but when the fist forward, I'm like, that to me is very masculine, right? And that's fine if you want to. And this is where it's so personal. If you want to stick off put off something a bit out there, a masculine vibe, or you're a masculine man, then do it. To me, there are no rights and wrongs, right? But for me, I'm like, how can we as women feminize it, right? So we're still strong, but we're soft, right? Because the whole point of masculine and feminine is we're opposites, so we complement each other,
Mm-hmm.
right? We need it all. um,
Balance.
so ways where you can, you know, just gently rest your hand rather than a hard fist
Yeah.
on its side.
Okay.
Connecting. Yeah.
I
Uh,
always find it hard to use my hands. Like I don't know what to do with my hands. So like I'll put in the pockets or like I like hand is like a piece of puzzle which.
yeah, and another thing for women and for men actually is, especially if you're wearing dark clothes, is try and create space between your arm and the side of your body. So have an air gap there.
Mm,
Similarly with your legs, like if you've got one bend or them off to the side, so that you don't create blocks of body, because that can then not just make you look larger, which isn't necessarily a negative, but can just make you look boxy, right? We want to create shape in our photos, so
mm,
that's why being
mm,
on a slight angle. But just as a note on LinkedIn headshots, it really should just be your head and shoulders. You don't need anything else in there. There's no point going half body even, because you get so small, no one can really see what you look like. So for a LinkedIn or a portrait, like where it's going to be small, just heads and shoulders, and looking out, I would say,
okay. To make the best use of that limited real
because
estate
it's
that
really
you
limited space. Yeah.
say.
Yeah,
Okay.
the more of your body put in, the smaller you become.
Good. I love these tips. And then now next is how can somebody who is not naturally confident, specifically in front of the camera, they may be very confident and great, but not with the camera, then how can they improve that bit? Or are there any specific techniques or mindset shifts that they can apply just to be comfortable and confident in front of the camera?
I mean, I think this is where it's really important to get the right photographer for you.
Mm,
Because there's people you're going to feel more confident with or comfortable with than others.
mm,
So I think it's really important to get the right photographer for you, someone you can trust, someone that you vibe with. For me, with my clients, I try to make them laugh.
mm,
Um, and, and big them up. I'm like, right, come on, right? You're an executive coach. You've got
Mm.
25 years of experience behind you. You know your stuff. You're going to change these people's lives, right? So stand there like you're going to boss it, because that's where the people, then they laugh and smile and the energy, comes up. I also sometimes get people to pitch me. I'm like, tell me why I should hire you. And they were like, and then, but as they start talking about the thing that they love and the thing that they're passionate about, again, that energy rises, and that's
Wow.
to me is the magic spot.
It's a great technique that can cause like a mindset shift in
It
like
causes
2 minutes.
yeah, it takes
Oh,
them out of their head and gets
yeah.
into their body.
Nice, nice. Now, what are the some of the common mistakes do you see people make with their LinkedIn profile photos?
And mostly it's just people that have like used a picture that they clearly like, but it's not professional. Like they're dressed up for a ball, or you see the top of a glass of wine, or you see half of, the person's head next to them, like coming off the side of the
But it
photo.
can be like some people,
Clearly grabbed
sorry,
from the phone and not any thought given to them.
it can it be like people who are in more uh, like in the industries where it's more creative, like media or advertising, they want to project a fun image.
Yeah.
Are the rules completely, I mean, different for them?
Again, like I said, I don't think there are rules, but but even in that, like, just choose a photo that is intentional, right, for what you're
Mm.
doing, not something that you've just picked out of your phone, right? So
Right.
if you work in
Yeah.
advertising and you want to make a pink background and you want to be coming out, jumping out the picture, like, and that's you, then go for it, right? If that's the personality that people are going to meet, then that's what you should absolutely what you should do. Um, but people like don't change industries, and then they might have a really formal like lawyer photo, and
Mm.
now they're a family life coach, and I'm like, well, no one's going to hire a family life coach who's in a suit, right?
Yeah.
He's intimidating, and we need
Yeah.
some soft and gentle. So that's where you've got to update it along with your
Life
industry as
changes.
well.
Right. All right, we are almost towards the end. I have just a couple of last questions for you. One is, how many different pictures should one always have handy? Uh, I know there's one group who are a lot into public speaking and engagements, but like in general, for other kind of people who are not a lot exposed in that public space, how many pictures do you recommend they should have handy?
I think if you're in a corporate position, right, headshots, 1 to 3 good headshots for somebody in a corporate role is fine. If you're in a corporate role but you're looking to do speaking on different
Mm-hmm.
panels or writing articles, probably one around 10.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
um and then if you're pushing out content a lot, it makes sense to batch that. So you should be looking at having a photo shoot and getting you know 60 every 6 months, or one
Okay.
big 120 plus for the year.
But for regular corporate employees, 3 pictures and you can change it every 2 years, that'll be like decent
Well,
enough.
yeah, but it'll still be 2 years old, right? But you might change it 3 times over your 12 months, but they're similar photos from the same
Right,
thing. Yeah,
right.
if you're ambitious and you're looking at putting some content out there and you want your face to be recognized, then
Mm,
kind of having a portfolio of 10 that you can drop out every 1-2 weeks alongside some kind of thought leadership post that you've
right,
written
right. This
be
is another thing that I want to ask because off late I see this trend in LinkedIn a lot wherein people post something, there's a write up, and then there's like their picture. What is your view on that? Like, why is it important to communicate that with a picture as well?
well, it stops the scroll for a start, right? When we're
Mm,
scrolling down, it might be the most interesting written content, but
mm,
you can't read that quick, right? So
mm,
you're scrolling through, you're looking for something that piques your interest, and
mm,
that's going to be a visual, right? So
mm,
whether it's an infographic, a video, or a photograph, right? That's going to grab your attention. And
mm.
it's like you're walking down the street, right? And you see somebody you recognize, you stop. And it's
Yeah,
the same. If you're like, oh, Rebecca's written something. Oh, there's
right.
Rebecca. Oh, what's she got to say? But you wouldn't
Mm,
know that I'd written anything when you're scrolling. Secondly, it builds recognition and memorability of
mm,
for you. So if you're wanting to increase your visibility, if you want to be known for something, people remember faces, right? So they'll remember this person wrote about this, and when they see it again, there's her content on sustainability again. There's her content on diversity again. There's her content on leadership again, right? So it really helps people associate you. or maybe they just follow you, then they meet you at a conference and they're like, I follow you on LinkedIn. You write about
Yeah.
diversity. I do. Yeah, I do. Oh, well, great. I'm looking for someone to speak on a panel about diversity. I'd love to chat to you about it, right? It makes you known. It makes you memorable. It makes you visible. And that's
Recognizable.
ultimately what we want.
Well, these are some great tips. Before we end, Rebecca, I want to ask, are there any new projects or any new things that you're pursuing which is keeping you excited?
Yeah, so another little transition. I'm working with a copywriter called Sorel Enriquez. She's a PhD level executive writer. She helps professionals with their LinkedIn, with their resumes, amongst other things. And we've partnered to put together a Revamp Your LinkedIn workshop. So we
Uh-huh.
ran it a couple of weeks ago. A mixture of entrepreneurs and corporate professionals who want to revamp their LinkedIn. And the idea is that kind of over a 3-4 hour workshop, everybody gets a new headshot,
Okay.
and then you're guided on how to create a keyword rich headline, so people
Mm-hmm.
can see very quickly who you are, what you do, who you help, what you need, what they might need for, using developed AI prompts on
Okay.
how to make your about section much more relevant to the audience, right? And then to help them with some content ideas. So if you're going to use LinkedIn, what do you want to write about? So that's really exciting. The feedback was amazing. One lady said that the next morning she got reached out to by a recruiter in a space that she
Wow.
was interested in, and she'd had nothing before. And it just shows that you
Okay.
make those tweaks, you get it right. Because LinkedIn's a search engine, right? People can't find
Right.
you. You know, it's a
Right.
search, it's a social media platform, but it's amazing search. So found you've got to have the right words, the right skills, the right everything in there. So yeah, that's the new kind of project, which is super exciting.
Great. Sounds exciting. And I will look up for this details on this LinkedIn program for myself as well. But it was lovely having this chat with you. And you covered a lot of ground here. So I'm sure it'll be of great help to anybody listening and how they can enhance and amplify their personal brand on LinkedIn or otherwise. So lovely conversing. Just before you leave, what's the best way to reach out to you?
So Instagram, I'm rebecca.downie.photography, or you can find me on LinkedIn, Rebecca Downie, or via my website, which is rebeccadowniephotography.com.
Okay, great. Well, thank you very much, Rebecca. Thanks a lot.